Hello everyone, this is going to be a 200 jury charge for the RPR simulator, and this will be 5 minutes long. Okay, ready? Okay, here we go. It is important to understand that the jury's role then will be to decide these facts. Your role as a jury will be to decide whether Wade Nelson's admissions of involvement in this case, knowing things that nobody else knows, that only the murderer and the murder's accomplice could know in this case, and you are to search for the truth and decide. The evidence, members of the jury, at the conclusion of this case is not going to show that Wade Nelson was at the wrong place at the wrong time. The evidence is going to show, in fact, that Wade Nelson was at the right place at the right time. Christine Talbert got lucky. She got lucky that there was a young man who happened to show up. She got lucky that there was one person that could actually save her life. But the choices that Wade Nelson made, the terrible choices that he made with his uncle, ensured that instead of leaving, instead of just saying no, instead of talking his uncle Jeff out of it, which were all choices that he could have made, instead of calling 911 for help, instead of calling his mother or some other family member, or instead of actively rescuing this girl, Wade Nelson chose to join in and rape this young girl, to involve himself in this terrible murder, and to help dispose of and mutilate this 25-year-old body who was Christine Talbert. These terrible choices require severe consequences and accountability, and at the conclusion of this case, we are asking that you find the defendant Wade Nelson guilty. But you need to know and understand that this was not premeditated murder. He didn't plan this like his uncle did, so he's in a different situation than his uncle Jeff. I don't have any audio visuals, so I have to apologize ahead of time. You will have to listen to me instead. On October 31st of 2005, Wade Nelson came home about 3:45 p.m. from school. He came home from high school with his brother Blaine. It was not unusual for Wade to come home with Blaine. Every day they came home the same way. They both got dropped off at the end of the street, which was on an access road. The Snyder Road leads to his house. This is where they began to walk down the road. It takes them about 5 minutes to get to the house from the actual mailboxes. Now, as they are walking, they start to talk about who gets to use the phone first to call a friend to go trick or treating. They race each other home, and Blaine wins the race, so he gets to use the phone first. This is when Blaine calls his friend Jason. They set up a time to meet to go trick or treating, and Wade decides to play some video games. He then watches a little bit of TV, and about 5 o'clock p.m. his mom comes home and makes some dinner for Blaine and for Wade. Then about 20 after 5 or maybe 5:30, Blaine leaves the house to meet Jason, his friend, to go trick or treating, and Betsy Eddy, which she used to have the last name of Flint, meets up with her boyfriend or fiance at the time at about 5:30 p.m. to go up to Green Bay to visit with his mother, who is in the hospital. Betsy Eddy leaves the house, and Wade is still at home watching TV and played some video games. Then at about 5:45 p.m., Blaine's boss, his name is Mike Waverly, calls the house. Wade used to work for Mike as well, and he calls to talk to Blaine. He talks to Wade for about 5 minutes, and Wade takes a message for Blaine that Mike had called and he needs to call him back. Shortly after that time, Jeff Snyder calls. Jeff Snyder, obviously, and as you know, is Wade's uncle. Jeff Snyder lives about a couple of hundred yards from, or a couple hundred feet from the house. Jeff calls and asks if he wants to come over to watch a bonfire that his Uncle Jeff has set. Wade accepts the offer and says yes. He said he would be over in a few minutes. Now, about 15 minutes later, his Uncle Jeff calls again and asks Wade what is taking him so long. Wade is kind of putsy. He said he was changing his pants, putting on a sweatshirt because it was a little bit chilly for an October night, and he goes over to the bonfire. Now, when he gets there, it's a little bit dark now, and it's about 7. He then drives around with his Uncle Jeff. Jeff has his mother's golf cart, and they are traveling around the yard picking up debris. They pick up wood, an old cabinet, some tires, and a van seat. And as they collect the items, they begin to pile them up next to, or just to the side of this little area behind Jeff's garage, where he's got the bonfire going. They throw some items onto the bonfire, put some other items off to the side, and they do that for about 4 or 5 trips around the yard, collecting debris, collecting garbage, and they begin to toss the garbage onto the fire throughout the night. After they are done cleaning up the yard, Jeff asks Wade if he wants to help clean up a mess in his garage. Wade agrees to help him. They go into the garage, and there's a small area behind the lawnmower as if something had spilled. Jeff takes some gasoline and pours it onto this little area, and they use some clothing, old rags, that sop up the mess. Okay, so we do have a word list. We've got Green Bay, capital Green, Bay, capital Bay. Betsy Eddy, capital Betsy. Eddie, capital Eddie. They also refer to her last name as Flint, Flint. Jason, capital Jason. Blaine, capital Blaine. Mike Waverly, capital Mike. Waverly, capital Waverly. Wade Nelson, capital Wade. Nelson, capital Nelson. Christine Talbert, capital Christine. Talbert, capital Talbert. Jeff Snyder, capital Jeff. Snyder, capital Snyder. And that concludes the 200 jury charge for the RPR simulator. Good luck.